The little girl's voice was soft, almost lost beneath the noise of the crowded food court, yet it stopped everything inside him. It wasn't loud or dramatic, but it carried a weight that pressed straight into the heart. As people rushed past with trays full of food and eyes fixed on their phones, she noticed what no one else did. Across the aisle, a thin woman sat alone with her hands folded tightly in her lap, staring at nothing, her stomach clearly empty. In that single moment, a child's quiet compassion was about to change more than one life. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, quiet humanity, and second chances that begin with the smallest actions, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that may be hurting in silence. Michael Turner was a single father who carried responsibility the way others carried briefcases. After losing his wife to illness years earlier, he had rebuilt his life around his daughter Emily and his demanding role as a senior corporate executive. His days were scheduled down to the minute, his decisions measured and strategic, and his emotions carefully managed so they would not interfere with survival. Raising a child alone while climbing the corporate ladder had taught him efficiency, discipline, and control. What it had not taught him was how to slow down. That afternoon, Michael and Emily had stopped at the food court inside a large shopping center after a long day of errands. Emily sat across from him with a small tray of food, swinging her legs gently, humming to herself while eating. She was 7 years old, bright-eyed, curious, and still unscarred by the harsh filters adults placed over the world. Michael watched her with a familiar mix of pride and guilt, wondering if he was giving her enough of himself or simply giving her a comfortable life to compensate for his absence. Then Emily's attention drifted away from her food. Michael followed her gaze and saw the woman sitting alone. She looked exhausted, her clothes worn thin, her hair pulled back in a way that suggested practicality rather than care. She wasn't asking for money. She wasn't bothering anyone. She was simply sitting there, waiting, as if hoping something might change without knowing how. Michael noticed her too, but his instinct was the one he had trained for years. Someone else would help. There were systems for this. He had meetings to attend, emails waiting, a child to get home. He had already donated to charities this year. He told himself all the usual things people tell themselves when they want to look away. Emily, however, did not have those habits yet. Michael felt her small hand tug at his sleeve. When he looked down, her face was serious in a way that made him pause. She glanced back at the woman, and then at her own tray. In her mind, the solution was simple. Food was meant to be shared. Hunger was meant to be answered. She didn't see a stranger or a problem. She saw a person. Michael hesitated. In that brief silence, 1,000 thoughts raced through him. Safety, boundaries, social rules. What if the woman refused? What if she reacted badly? What if people stared? What if Emily learned something painful too early? But another thought rose above the rest, unexpected and unsettling. What if this was a lesson Emily was supposed to teach him? Michael followed his daughter's gaze again, really looking this time. He saw the tension in the woman's shoulders, the way she avoided eye contact with anyone who passed, the quiet dignity of someone who had learned not to ask anymore. He remembered nights after his wife's death when he sat alone at the kitchen table, appetite gone, wondering how life had become so empty so quickly. Loneliness, he realized, wore many faces. The woman's name was Sarah Collins. She had once lived a life that looked ordinary from the outside. A small apartment, a steady job, dreams that didn't feel unrealistic. Then a series of events collapsed it all. A layoff followed by medical bills. A landlord who didn't wait. Friends who meant well, but drifted away when the crisis lasted too long. Shelters filled quickly. Resources ran out, and pride slowly turned into survival. Hunger became familiar, but shame became heavier. When Emily stood up, holding her tray carefully with both hands, Michael felt a sudden fear he couldn't explain. Not fear of the woman, but fear of what this moment might awaken in him. He stood too, staying close, his body tense and protective, yet his heart strangely open. Sarah looked up when she noticed movement. Her first instinct was embarrassment. She had mastered the art of being invisible, and being seen felt dangerous. Then she saw Emily's face. There was no pity there, no judgment, just a quiet sincerity that caught her off guard. The exchange was brief, simple, and wordless. Food placed gently on the table, a small nod, a shy smile, yet the air around them felt different afterward, as if something unseen had shifted. Michael watched Sarah eat slowly, carefully, as if afraid the moment might disappear if she moved too quickly. Emily returned to her seat content, as though she had done exactly what was right and nothing more. Michael felt something loosen in his chest, a tightness he hadn't realized he'd been carrying for years. They did not leave immediately. Michael found himself sitting longer than planned, watching Sarah finish her meal, noticing the way her posture softened, the way her eyes seemed less guarded. He realized how rarely he allowed himself to stay present in moments that didn't serve a purpose or lead to a result. Life did not magically change for Sarah that day. Hunger returned the next morning. Uncertainty followed her steps as always. But something had changed inside her. Being seen without being judged had reminded her that she was still human, still worthy of care. It gave her the strength to walk into a local resource center she had avoided out of shame. It helped her speak instead of shrinking. For Michael, the change was quieter but deeper. Emily's act of kindness haunted him in the best way. He began to question how many moments like that he had ignored. How many chances to teach his daughter not just how to succeed, but how to care. Over time, Michael used his influence differently. Not loudly, not publicly. He supported programs that focused on dignity rather than numbers. He volunteered without announcing his title. He taught Emily that helping wasn't about fixing everything, but about doing what you could with what you had. Sarah slowly rebuilt her life. She found part-time work through a local outreach program, then more stable employment. It wasn't easy. Progress rarely is. But each step was supported by people who remembered her name, who treated her like more than a problem to be solved. Sometimes, when things felt overwhelming, she remembered the little girl in the food court and the simple generosity that reminded her she was not invisible. Years later, Michael would realize that his greatest professional success did not come from a board decision or financial deal. It came from raising a child who noticed hunger and responded with love instead of fear. Emily grew up understanding that kindness was not weakness and compassion was not optional. Just before the ending, take a moment to comment below and share what the story made you feel. Your words might remind someone that even the smallest act can matter more than we ever realize.